Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? Just want to say thank you for watching, and today I wanted to talk about COVID and some vaccinations, and not so much briefly on the pandemic itself or the virus. You know, there was also not too long ago that monkeypox was announced, which was supposedly going to be, the next COVID thing to, put a stranglehold on America. And evidently it didn't. I haven't heard much about it, but recently, while I was at a doctor's visit, it turns out there is a vaccine for monkeypox, which I wasn't even aware of until then. So, what I wanted to talk about is there was a considerable amount of disinformation that went on. COVID-19 became very politicized, and it was spreading a lot of information in ways that it shouldn't have had. And here's my simple thought on the whole thing as far as, like, if you haven't been vaccinated, should you get vaccinated? What do you do if you get COVID? What kind of treatments are on that? I'm not going to say any of those things. Here's the one thing I'm going to say about the whole situation in general is, you ready? Here's what you do in the event of COVID monkeypox. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. It's that simple. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert. I don't know anything about, COVID other than, the tidbits that you hear on the news and everything. Could I tell you about the vaccines, whether it's Pfizer, Moderna, or the one from Johnson & Johnson? No, I can't. So I'm not about to give you any medical advice. Let me just be clear on that. This is not a video telling you what you should do or whether or not you should get vaccinated if you haven't. Or, if you have been and you catch COVID, what should you do then? Talk to your doctor. Why? Well, it's kind of a no-brainer, but some people seem to struggle with this, is that, well, they have a medical degree, depending on the type of doctor. They know about medicine. They know about diseases and stuff like that. They're the best type of people to turn to that can give you professional advice, especially your own general physician, who not only knows you personally, but has a certain knowledge of your medical history and can give you the best possible advice, whether it's if you have COVID, what treatment you should get, or if you don't have the vaccine, whether you should get it, and any questions you might have about the vaccine. Talk to your doctor. That is my simple suggestion across the board. I heard a lot of things going on when the vaccines first came out. There were, some issues about that. There was also a lot of silly talk going on, from online sources and on social media. You had like the podcast Joe Rogan, who was taking ivermectin, which is if I remember correctly, it's a type of paste to treat livestock, specifically horses, for worms. It was later put out that supposedly does not provide any cure or remedy for COVID. I don't know. I've never taken this stuff. I don't know that much about it. I know it's been known to be used as treatment for other conditions, but obviously I'm not going to recommend it. I would just say, okay, if you think you have COVID and you're not vaccinated and you're wondering should you go out and get ivermectin, well, talk to your doctor. Why? Because Joe Rogan is not a doctor. Nicki Minaj, the rapper, I'm not a fan or a hater of hers. She's just there. I'm sure she has a lot of good songs. But, she put out a tweet saying something like, a friend of a cousin got swollen testicles and became impotent after he took the vaccine, I'm not even going to ask follow-up questions like that. Like, well, what vaccine was it? How bad was it? It made him impotent? Yeah, here's one, guys. My cousin's nephew's uncle, dear aunt's former roommate, he took the vaccine and he turned into the Hulk. Wow. Maybe you should go out and get the vaccine, right? Wrong. Oh, and Nicki Minaj, she claimed she was going to do her own research, which some people, put out similar posts. I need to do my own research. What research would that be? If you're not a doctor, or have any type of medical degree, do you have some knowledge in medicine, pathology, and human anatomy? Do you understand how diseases are contracted? Do you know anything specifically about COVID? Do you have your own lab with subjects that you can do trials with, where you have samples of COVID and the vaccine, where you could do clinical trials and document all the results and then share your results with other experts? No, you don't. Okay, so to say like, well, I'm going to do some research, that means you're just going to go online, do a few Google searches, and pinpoint articles that just match your beliefs. and say, oh yeah, see, look, you know, these vaccines, they really do all these bad things. You shouldn't get it. It's completely absurd. Again, if you have any questions about any serious illnesses, whether it be COVID or something else, about what treatments to take, about whether to get the vaccine, talk to your doctor, because they know better. Just another example out of left field was the state trooper in Washington. I'm not going to mention his name, but he refused the vaccine, and he became somewhat famous for anti-vaccine, as an anti-vaxxer. And he was only 50 years old, which he later caught COVID and died from it as a result. He was also the one who famously told the governor of Washington to kiss his ass, which is pretty immature. Don't get me wrong, I'm not wishing death on anyone, up to and including that person. It's a shame that he lost his life. You know, when he was only 50, he still had plenty more years of life he could have lived. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the family. So, can I say for sure that had he got the vaccine, could he have lived? It's a possibility, but I don't know. So I'm not going to make that assumption here. But if I was his friend, at the very least, I would say to him what I'm saying to you now. Why don't you go and talk to your doctor and, get the facts? If you're uncertain about the vaccination, speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Don't just make assumptions. His issue was also that evidently the vaccines were becoming mandatory, and that if you didn't get it, you were fired. And somebody could make that debate. I can understand that to a point. But whether it's a city job or you work in the private sector, employments have their rules and everything, and you have to follow them. And if they say it's mandatory that you get the vaccine, well, it's either that or you don't have a job. I know that's not a fair position to be put in. I can understand why you might think that, but I would at least get a medical opinion just to verify that before you jump to conclusions thinking that something is by default not safe, that it could be harmful and everything. Oh, and our favorite one is Donald Trump, who said some of the stupidest things possible and could not have been the worst person in charge to handle the COVID pandemic, telling people to inject yourself with disinfectant and put light in the body and some other stupid things, contradicting professional advice from Dr. Fauci. You have doubts about Fauci? I understand that, but that's why I say talk to a doctor that you know or familiar with, so you don't feel like you're being misled, that it's not political advice you're being given. And for the record, Donald Trump did catch COVID while he was president, and he got the convenient helicopter airlift. And I don't know what treatment they did, but something tells me they didn't inject him with disinfectant or put light in his body. As far as standing up to the vaccines, back to the state trooper who died, my question would be simple, which I kept thinking about it when I heard about that incident, is that what is more important to you, being right or staying alive? Are you refusing the vaccine because, you're being stubborn, or you're trying to make some point, trying to take a moral high ground here? Okay, I get it, but in the end, we're talking about your life. If it's something mild that can potentially kill you, it's one thing, but if it's something that can, talk to your doctor, get the facts. I'm sure some of these podcasts and celebrities, they mean well when they try and give advice, but it's bogus because, again, they're not doctors. Don't listen to Joe Rogan and Nicki Minaj. Certainly don't listen to an effing moron like Donald Trump who has no clue what he's talking about. In cases like this, speak to your doctor, get the facts, get some good professional advice, and heed the advice. I can't tell you what to do. All I can say is talk to your doctor, and I hope you make the right decision and that you stay safe. Because too many people have died from COVID already. I don't know about deaths of monkeypox, or whether, what kind of vaccine that they have. But just again, get medical advice from the right people, not online. Don't do your own research. There's not some obscure article that you're going to stumble on that gives you all this information that all the medical experts missed. Do the right thing and get the facts that you need from a medical professional for your sakes and for your family's sakes and the people around you. I really hope you understand. Thank you for watching.